Good? All right. Tim Valdez, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Been a black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt. Been training Jiu-Jitsu since 2000?
2000. Yeah.
You started with me when you were like 15 years old?
Yeah, 15. Crazy. It was awesome. Like the best experience of my life, man. I don't know what I'd be.
Been traveling with me around the world, Brazil.
You've been mentoring me since I was a kid. Taught me everything I know. You and my dad. You know, you're like the older brother I never had.
We've had some good times for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. So, what you used to wrestle when you were a kid? Tell me about because you're so good with kids,
right?
And yeah, you've been teaching also, and you taught in our Santa Fe school back in the early 2000s, and man, you were like everybody's favorite. And to this day, you tell me you have a school. You have a school these days, right?
Yeah, I have a school. It's a new era. We're an after-school program. We pick up kids from school. We hire state licensed teachers to kind of help them with their homework, their studies, tutoring, whatever they need to succeed in school. And then they get 1 hour of like martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and tack fit stuff that you've been showing me. You know what I mean? So the kids really like it. You know, it's I'm the oldest of 9, so I'm kind of used to being around like bunch of kids, you know, like leading the way.
They love you. They love you.
Yeah, so it's real rewarding. You know, I actually prefer working with kids than adults. It's just, yeah, some people like, I don't know how you do it, and I'm like.
So you guys pick up the kids, right?
Yeah, from school we have 4 vans.
4 vans.
So we have drivers that go pick the kids up and they transport them to our facility, and then right when they get there, they wash their hands. We feed them snack, and if the kids have homework, then they go to the homework room and work with the school teachers, and if they don't, then they eat snack in the room, give them like a 45 minutes to socialize, kind of decompress. If they're tired, they can take like little naps. But usually they're just pumped waiting for class, you know, because I try to make the classes as exciting as I can.
It's amazing, right? Because like the hardest part for the parents, especially like if the parents are separated, right? Or it's to bring the kids to martial art classes, right? After school, what are the kids doing after school? And so you give them like activities, right? Like positive activities that are going to help them in their life. Right.
Like that's like an outlet to like release like stress, because some of these kids, like they're at school all day. It's like work, you know, like they're like mini adults, you know, they deal with the same problems we do as adults. And they really, when they get to the gym, they feel like, okay, the day's over. Now it's my time to kind of release and just have fun and enjoy the company of other kids, and they're like all like, it's like, you know, jiu-jitsu, it's like it's like a tight group, like a family.
You're the master at that, like having the kids, like they're working but they're having fun.
Yeah, right? They work and they get their homework
fun while they're working.
And they like it. It's the parents love it because they have homework. The homework's done when kids get picked up. It's been checked by licensed teachers, so it's cool. They really like, that's the thing that really the parents like, is the fact that it's not only jiu-jitsu, but they're also keeping up with their homework and they're studying and kind of working towards something, you know, and we reward them different ways. And
that's
like ice cream parties, pizza parties. It's really cool.
You see them summer camps.
Yeah. I feel like I'm around them more than their own parents are, you know?
Yeah.
So it's cool.
You had a program in Espanola, right?
Right.
Inside the schools. So you got jiu-jitsu inside the schools. Can you tell me a little bit about like Espanola and then kind of what you guys did there?
So I ended up, I had a successful school in Santa Fe, and I decided to expand into Espanola. I was either going to go like south or north, and
Santa Fe, New Mexico, right?
Yeah, so Santa Fe. So when I went to check out Espanola, that's where where I met my son's mom, Melody. She was telling me about like how bad it is out there, you know, like with the drugs and the crime.
Is it really the what would you say?
It's the capital. There's more drug related deaths there per capita than anywhere in the country. It's like heroin's big. It's like, you know, we're a border state, so you know, like it's you know,
and that brings a lot of at risk.
Yeah, there's a lot of at risk kids. There's a lot of neglect out there. There's, you know, a lot of these kids are raised by their grandparents, and some of them they're like really, they're not as fortunate as I like I was when I was a kid, you know, like I had a good dad, I had a solid family, you know. Some of these kids are in desperate need, and they're living in like horrible conditions. Some of these kids, like the only meal that they get is at school. You know, nobody's after school. They walk home. They're like, you know, 5 and 6, 7, and they're taking care of themselves. Nobody's watching them. You know, they have
6, 7 years old.
Yeah, like, you know, they're like, you know, like these kids are like, when I first started talking to them, they were like talking about like like drugs and where's your dad? Oh, my dad's in prison. Where's your mom? Oh, she died. You know, it's just like, or she's somewhere, I don't know where my mom is. You know, it's like, it's kind of heartbreaking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad to able to get into the schools and kind of teach them like all the philosophy that you taught me when I was a kid. You know, I feel like I was an at-risk kid, not because I didn't have like my dad, but it was just more my personality. I was kind of like, you know, like an adventurer, like always like wanting to push boundaries and stuff. And
what kind of things did you do in the school? So you got into the schools, right? Into the Espanola schools.
It was
public schools,
right? So what happened was I opened up a school in Espanola, and then I started. I went to the schools and said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. You know, is it, you know, if there's anything I can do for you guys?" And then the schools like immediately like were like, "All right, let's set something up." This woman named Julie, she was the principal of JHR. She like Googled like jiu-jitsu, and she saw like all the benefits from it, and she was like, "I want you to, like, instead of our kids going to your facility, I want to give you a classroom, buy you mats, and we want to like make this a part of the curriculum at school." So I was like, "All right, let's do it." You know, I was all pumped.
Tell me about the first day.
First day, it was crazy. Like I saw the kids. It was because I was working with classrooms of kids. So the one teacher would bring her class at a certain time, and so the first class I ever did, I was excited. And when I had the kids take their shoes off, and when they took their shoes off, like the room, like the stench, because these kids don't have like clean socks. They don't have like, it's not like, you know, mom's like picking out their outfits, and like, you know, some of these kids don't even brush their teeth. They're just, you know, they're living in like horrible conditions, and it was kind of sad because they were living like that, but they were still happy. Yeah. They were like grateful and stuff. So they were excited about being able to wrestle like in school. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was like, because they do it like they would normally get in trouble when they were, So it was great release for the kids. Like what happened was like after like the first like couple weeks, I let them start to like spar and grapple. And that's when the kids really, really enjoyed it, because it gave them a chance. Huh? Yeah, there was bullies. A lot of bullying was going on at the schools, and there was a lot of hazing, and like there was kids that were like super shy and timid, and there was kids that were kind of like overly confident because they thought they were like, you know, the tough guys. And when they started sparring, it's crazy because the ones that kind of had egos kind of got humbled, and they walked out of the room like with their head down, like what just happened. And then the kids that were shy and timid that paid attention and absorbed everything that I was teaching them, like they came out of the classroom like, wow, like I can't believe like what just happened. This guy's been picking on me though for like the past 3 years, and I tapped him out. You know what I mean? And so like it brought everybody to this like medium where like everybody like they learned to respect and how to show it to other people, like in kids, and helped with their grades, helped improve like their all around like their life. You know, the kids, you could tell they were taking things more serious. They were like, the principal was like, yeah, we're not getting as much, like there's no bullying going on. Like bullying's low, like dropped. You know, the kids they responded really, really well to it. You know, there's some of the kids, that was the first kind of physical activity that they've ever done. You know, PE teachers are hard to come by out there.
Right, they're cutting PE programs around the country, like, for sure. So you know, at Abu Dhabi, the Sheikh, he has like a city of Brazilians. Right. They have jiu-jitsu in the schools. Yeah. And now I think this last year they also made it. They put it into the public schools for Rio de Janeiro. That's cool. Jiu-jitsu, yeah, it changed a lot. You know, from the '90s when I was there, the you know, it was like jiu-jitsu. They had jiu-jitsu was like violence. You know, jiu-jitsu, they had a propaganda that jiu-jitsu is not violence. So it's cool to see it kind of evolve into jiu-jitsu being in the schools. That it's good, it's positive. You know, helps you actually be your best. Yeah, it teaches like how to deal with like different adversities, and these kids are like, you know, they're in, like I said, they're in bad like living environment. It's like I went to visit one family because they invited me for dinner, and it was just like, it was kind of an eye opener. You know, it's like, whoa, you know, like dirt floors. You know, it's kind of you think like, you know, this is America. It's crazy, yeah. It doesn't happen here, but yeah, there's kids in poverty. Like, you know, there was like the police. There would be police at the schools because like one kid would bring like drugs that he found at home. You know, it was like, wow. And then I felt like the need to, like, a lot of these kids, I had them raise their hand because we don't like school. We don't like school. I was like, all right, how many people, if you didn't have to come to school, how many people wouldn't want to come to school? And then they all raised their hand. And I was like kind of telling them, like, you know, there's kids in other countries that would they do anything to come to school. You know, and I would ask them, like, what are you going to do when you graduate? Like when you're adult? I'm going to go to college. And I would tell them, like, are your parents rich? Are you getting straight A's? No. Well, how are you going to go to college, man? They were just like,
scratching their head, you know. So kind of put it in them like, you know, if you want something, you got to work for it. Just like you want to be good at jiu-jitsu, you got to work for it. You know, you got to, you know, there's a path to success. And it's not what you're necessarily, what's been going on, like what your parents are showing you, you know, and like, oh, like drugs and like, so like, you know, cause it's just kind of like, they're breeding like the same out. It's the same thing over and over again. Like
cycle,
you know, cycle. It's just like, and I felt like,
man, you're amazing, man, at like talking to kids like adults.
Yeah,
having conversations.
I can get on their level. I can get on their level. Like, like get down.
4-year-old, 10-year-old, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like it's just like I'm just there for them. You know, if they need snack, if they need anything. Like the way that my school is I set up a nonprofit organization, and I'm not really getting any money. You know, I from like donators, but if kids come in, like families come in, and they don't have food to eat, like I'll go buy them groceries. You know, I just like seeing people like happy and like, you know, feel like that's like my diligence and that's my purpose, like in life. Giving back, you know what I mean, is like the most rewarding thing, you know. Like I'm not like competing anymore, and I just feel like, you know, I'm like a dad now, and I feel for my son, and like I see I want the best for him. And when you see these kids, like it's a good feeling, like when you're at the movie theaters and like you see all these little kids, like when Spider-Man's out, you know, and they're like tapping you in the back and they're like giving you hugs, you know what I mean? And you just feel like you're the man, and you feel like, it's a sense of pride, you know what I mean? It's cool.
So you talk about compete, you don't compete. You used to compete.
I love
a top competitor,
right.
medalist at the IBJF, you know, multiple times, and like we traveled around the country, around the world, right, to compete, you know.
Best memories of my life, man. Straight up, like middle of the night.
So tell me some weight cutting stories,
man, like
travel stories.
I remember like when I was in like Vegas
for some of the guys that you know they don't know some of these stories. This is from the early 2000s, right?
Right, like 2000. I think 2000 was when you took me to Las Vegas, Nevada.
The first time I'm gonna interrupt you. The first time I took you guys to Vegas, Nevada, I started my school right when I was 23 years old. So I wasn't, you know, I was pretty young too.
Yeah, you're really young.
And I remember, you know, I took you and I think your brothers. To you know, pick you guys up at like 9 or probably like I think like 10 o'clock actually. And it was dark, right? And we're going to drive overnight. And your dad, I don't know how he trusted me, but I, you know, asked him years later, like I think a couple of years ago, like, you know, what made you trust me? You know, I was a young guy. I was in my early 20s, and I was taking your 3 boys to Vegas. We picked you guys up at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock at night, you know. And he's like, oh, you had the look in your eye. I'm like, okay.
No. And my dad would not like my dad was never like the type of person to let us go with like really anybody.
Right,
like
right. Your dad was 100%. Like I love your dad. Your dad is like the dad. What a great role model for you guys. Yeah, and then he saw. Well, I think what happened was my dad saw the like the change in us. You know, like from like, you know, like he was trying to like, you know, like parents sometimes they struggle like teach it like having their kids respond to them. You know, sometimes the kids don't like, you don't listen to your parents, you know what I mean? Even though your parents like want what's best for you, you don't realize that as a kid, you know? And I think they saw like with this wrestling and the jiu-jitsu that like we were attracted to it. And like, that's the way you get our attention. And so you were like a blessing. My dad says like Alberto was a blessing to my family. You know what I mean? Like the things that he taught you guys and like the way he mentored you guys, like couldn't have asked for like a better person for like to come to get introduced you. I cared. I loved you guys.
Yeah, I could tell. You know,
you guys to be
you're like the older brother I never had. So I was raising all these little kids, like kind of like guiding all these little ducks, and like I had nobody to guide me. You know what I mean? And I like when I met you, and I was like, man, I love the grappling. I was like, I wanted like as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid, I like wanted to like I idolized you. You know, I wanted to be like you. Like I wanted to dress like you. I wanted to like, you know, everything that you did. I wanted to like. I was just, and that's, you know, that's
what. Remember some of those road trips to Colorado, like you know, your brothers and. I
remember Vegas was fun. That was the first. I think that was the first one when we went again. We went to Vegas, and then I just remember like it was snowing. Remember when it was like coming down.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I was in my early 20s.
Right.
I'm taking his 3 boys. Right. He's like 4 kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking 3 of them in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock at night, starting our road trip. You know, the hour. How many hours is it to Vegas? Like 6 hours or something from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
It's like 8.
Yeah, something like that. You know, so I'm driving overnight. And it started. You know, it was gonna snow too. So the fact that he trusted me. I was like, wow, I don't know if I would have done that. You know, but he's like, I knew.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
You had
the instinct.
You're responsible, you know.
It was serious. I gave 100% for sure.
And then he let me go to Brazil. Like I was like, 15, you know, like I was going to Brazil, like that was an experience.
So
like to take me to another country is like you first like, okay, you passed
you're
the test.
you're still under age, right?
Yeah. I was like, okay, I was like Vegas, and then it's like, okay, I want to go to Brazil, Dad, and he's like, all right, you know, that like, you know.
So let's go back to Vegas, that first road trip that you remember.
That was like my first tournament. Like I didn't know what to expect. It was Grappler's Quest. And I was like when like there wasn't a whole lot of tournaments.
Back in like 2000, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think it was the first like no gi tournament that they had.
Jean-Jacques Machado was reffing all the matches. I remember like seeing like Valdez like went against Jeff Munson. You know, that was like intense. He had him like in a omoplata, and and Jeff Munson was just like this.
I'd
never seen a dude
gambled
like that.
all night, right?
Yeah. Like eating like cereal. Yeah, like.
Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, Frosted Flakes. Yeah,
drinking Coca-Cola and Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, Valdez, man, that guy was funny, man. And you were bringing all these Brazilians like to like New Mexico,
right? Santa Fe.
Yeah,
the who's who, right?
The who is who. You know, like these guys were like tough, like savage, like the best jiu-jitsu guys you could have.
I mean, it's pretty interesting, right? We had a little town like Santa Fe, New Mexico. We had like 60,000 people living there, and we had, I mean, you had the who's who, right, coming into.
Sure, fortunate.
We had Carlos Gracie Jr. I mean, we had
Hoist Gracie.
Yeah. I mean, we had, Braulio Estima, Soka, Senequia, Draculino, of course. You know, since 2000, like every year for probably like at least a decade.
Yeah, you're bringing everybody over there. Yeah, Draculino was constantly going over there, like. Yeah, it was awesome. Homie was there. Like you brought so many guys. You brought so many guys. I
mean that's probably why like all you guys did so well.
Oh yeah.
We had like the first like CJ, she won the Worlds in 2001 and blue belt, and all you guys.
It was amazing, man. Couldn't have been any better. Like it was just like I was totally sold on jiu-jitsu. I would like. That's all I was thinking about. Like, you know, I was just wearing T-shirts and just people would be like, what is that? And I explain it to them. And
I mean, back in those days, it wasn't, I mean, they had the UFCs, right? And they had Pride, I think, right?
Yeah, Pride.
But jiu-jitsu wasn't, I mean, it was just starting, right? They had the first West Coast jiu-jitsu tournament in 2000 that we went to, but it wasn't really that. I mean, it was very,
like people think it was karate, you know?
Yeah, like they had karate and taekwondo in those days.
That's like we would compete at those karate tournaments,
right? Yeah, we would go grappling. Colorado in that grappling.
I remember like
division.
that, like when you did the like absolute division, and these guys were like monsters, and they'd like look at you, and then it was like
black belts in judo.
And then there was other Brazilians that like black belt Brazilians that would come down, and and you were having wars, and like we would kind of clean house, like leave with all the trophies, the TVs.
Before flat screens, we had those big TVs.
Yeah, they had the plaque, like first place, you know.
Right on top of the TV.
That was like when I first saw you compete. I was just like, I was amazed. I was like, man, this guy's like really good, like really good. Yeah. And you were like super dedicated. It was just, it was amazing watching you, man.
I loved it. I'm blessed that I had that passion.
Seeing you win the world championships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, you
Good
know.
times.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I remember you were telling me like in Brazil where you're like, man, this guy that I'm gonna go against, like he like nobody can pass his guard, and he's like, and I was like, so what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna pull guard, you know. And I remember like when you guys were like right next to each other, like right when the ref said go, you guys just both hit the floor, and you guys were like trying to pull each other in, and then you got him in, and that was.
I mean, so much of it, you know, competing is tactics and strategies and. Yeah, just being smarter, right? Yeah. Doing what you're better at than another guy. Mm-hmm. For sure. I learned a lot, you know, just about life, right? Just in those moments like that.
Yeah, I could imagine.
A smart way to win.
Yeah.
Or the most efficient ways.
And you were a smart guy. Like you kind of went to all the gyms probably, and like you picked like Draculino's. That was like the best place for you.
Yeah, I went to Rio first, right? I went to Rio de Janeiro. I went to the Gracie Barra there, and with the mall, you know, Mall Easton, and I met Draculino, and he was just starting his gym in Belo Horizonte, so he had just had white belts and blue belts, and I just loved the environment there. And then, you know, in Gracie Barra in Rio, they had all the black belts training there. So you walk in, like, to see a black belt back in the 90s was like, it was crazy, right? So to see a bunch of black belts in one room was, you know, it's hard to believe. But then I met Draculino, and he only had white belts and blue belts, and I just felt it, you know. I felt it that, you know, like this
that was your home.
Yeah, I felt at home there. They made me feel comfortable and just at home, you know, everybody that was there. And so I told him I'm going to move out there and And I did, and we became kind of one of the best single gym, right, in Brazil, in the world. I think
when you guys won the team championships out there.
Yeah, we won. Yeah, still to this day, like all the Eric Vanderlei and I mean, so many guys, right? Felipe Pena now, but Romulo Barros, like so many guys came out of that gym. So many world champions. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So I'm proud to kind of be that first generation of guys that were there. Yeah. That's so cool. Tell me the Michael Jordan, Eric Vanderlei. Speaking of Eric Vanderlei,
Vanderlei. So when I first went to Rio de Janeiro, not Rio, Belo Horizonte, we were training, and I was like a kid in a candy shop. That was the first time like I didn't have my dad around. You know what I mean? I didn't. It was just like it was like out in a new territory. I had never been out of the country, and but I looked up to. I was so obsessed with jiu-jitsu. When I got there, I saw all these guys. I was like, dang, look at all these. Look how everybody was just like an animal. There was just animals everywhere. Like guys with like 8-packs, and you'd see guys just having wars and then shaking hands afterwards. And they'd all leave. They train hard, and they'd all leave. And then so they take me to like get some fruit downstairs in the garage. And then they'd always, the first time they drove me up to like a mountain, and I thought they were just going to show me like this nice view, like, oh, check out the city, and then, so they check, we're looking at the city. And then all of a sudden, like I hear the lighter spark up, and like, and I look, and before I went, I was like, I was like the best in my program. We had a DARE program. It was like drug awareness, like, like this, they would tell you like, don't smoke weed, don't do drugs, and I was like told, I had my plaque in my room before I left. I was all proud that I got like the gold award for being like drug free. And Officer Wheeler and would be like, oh man, what are you doing? Like if you saw, but I like idolize these guys so much. It'd be like if you're into basketball, and like Larry Bird and took you to a mountain, and Michael Jordan took you to a mountain, and then you're like thinking, oh, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke weed, and then they spark up a joint, and then they're like handing it to you. At that moment, you have to make a decision. Like, all right, and I was like, you guys are doing this. You guys look better than my DARE officer. You guys you guys are doing something right. Man. So like I remember like I took it for the first time, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. They took care of me. They're like, it wasn't like it was not like doing like crazy drugs. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I went to Alexandra's friend's house, and this guy was like chopping meat, and I was like had the munchies. I didn't even know like what the munchies were, but I was like super hungry, and I was like, we're gonna have barbecue. You know what I mean? Brazilian barbecue. I was pumped, and then walk outside, and there's these exotic birds like toucans and like crazy like hawks and bald eagles, and I just remember tripping out.
Daniel, Lucas's uncle.
Yeah, so I was just like, wow, look at these birds.
No, that wasn't it. It was Alex's brother's house.
So yeah, it was just like I was like amazed for the first time. And then that's kind of how I got. I made a lot of friends. You know what I mean? If my dad heard of these stories, he'd be like, "What the heck were you doing out there?"
So one of the summers, right? One of the times we went down. I wasn't there with you that time, but you kind of disappeared. You went to, Alexandra's house, and you kind of disappeared. Yeah. And the mom called me, like worried because you didn't show up for a couple of days.
Right. And at the time when I was a kid, I was like,
I mean, at this point you were I think you were 19 or 20 or something.
I think that was the second time I was out, because I went.
Okay. First time you were 17. I remember.
I was a freshman. It was I was going to turn a sophomore, and that was like after my sophomore year. So I had just finished being a sophomore, and I went back out there.
No, but you were at. I think you were. It was after you were 18,
Was I 18?
The second time you went. I think the first time I think you went, because I remember you were under 18.
Yeah, I was under 18 the first time, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, and the second time I think you were 18 or 19, something like that.
I was used to being like my parents are the only people in charge of me, you know what I mean? Like, right. And then so I was out there, I wasn't really thinking, like, oh, like,
because it's dangerous, right? They can rob you, they can,
and I thought it was like
kidnap you.
Yeah, I didn't realize, you know what I mean? Like I just thought like the world's a safe place.
You saw these pretty girls, and
Chago took me to a nightclub, and I started talking to these girls, and these girls are like, come with me. And I remember telling Chago, I was like, Chago, I'm going to go with these girls. Like, there's 3 girls. And I was like, I'm going to go hang out with these girls.
And you didn't come back for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And then, no. And then he went home to pick up his clothes. And then with the car filled with girls, right? It was you and all these girls. And he comes back like 2-3 days after, and after not calling them, and his mom's like not sleeping because she's so worried. And so she called me up, and then I had to call your dad.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
then he called you. And
I remember like just like hearing my dad like like picking up hello, and then like he just started, "What are you doing?" I just took the phone off and I was like, I'm in another country, so I'm like, I'm safe, because if my dad would have been able to like put his hand through that phone and just choke me, I would have,
You called it right away, and
Yeah.
I guess it never happened again when you went to go
and
visit her.
then like now, like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I like did that, But like I was used to like, okay, my dad's not here, like I'm in charge of myself,
you know. You didn't think about her.
Yeah,
She was like she wasn't sleeping.
I didn't think, and then like I felt bad, and I was just like, after I was just like, dang, what did I do? But what happened was I met these 3 girls, and they were like, come to my, like they brought me, like I was like a teen, like 18 maybe. Something like that. So
yeah, they're gonna get their green card.
They were like 20 years, 20, 23, 25 years old, these girls, and they took me to their house, and they were like telling their family that like we're gonna get married, and I'm like, I was like we're gonna get married. They're like, yeah, you want to marry me? And then there was these 3 girls that were. I stayed at one girl's house, and then the family was cool with it, and then the next day, like I stayed at another girl's house, and then like she introduced me and said, "I'm gonna marry this guy," and then so I was like, "Okay, I gotta go home."
I'm never going home.
I was gonna like, yeah. So I was like, okay, I gotta go home. I'm gonna stay at your house tonight, and then I'm gonna go, but I gotta get my stuff. So they dropped me off, and that's when Alexandra's sister saw me, and she's like, "What, Tim?" and like ran up to me, and then the girls like got kind of freaked out, Alexandra's sister was like, "Where are you going?" So they just got in the car and took off, and I never really saw him. Like we never got married. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was cool, man. But like, I mean, yeah, talk about like a life experience. But yeah, it was dangerous. I remember like going to Rio for the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like I snuck out. Like nobody really knows. I don't even think I've told you, but like Alexandra was sleeping.
Oh, you snuck out at night.
I snuck out at night in Rio de Janeiro, and I was like walking the whole streets, bro. I was walking the streets and like just like going to different like eating at different places. I had like my dad sent me with his MasterCard. You know what I mean? It was like 4 to 1. The dollar, everything was cheap. And I was on the beach walking all up and down like the beach, and like looking back, I'm like, lucky I didn't get kidnapped. Guy must have had an angel.
I mean, it's pretty safe, like in those touristic areas, because I think we stayed in like Copacabana, Ipanema, right?
Yeah.
In those areas, I think when we went for the World Championships, that's usually where we.
Well, it's crazy because like when I would walk into a place, like they would be like, they look at me and then they would look like.
But you didn't speak Portuguese.
Yeah, these guys would
so
be like, they let me, spend your money here. You know what I mean? Spend like what you want, something to eat, and then so I would be, and then like it's funny because people would come up to you and like kind of talk to you and be like, "Where are you from? Who are you with?" And I was like, "I'm here for doing jiu-jitsu tournament." "Oh, jiu-jitsu, cool." And then so like, yeah, like these people would like they'd see you and then they kind of like, I remember this girl like started following me around like in Rio, and so she's like, I'll show you. Like I was lucky that I met like good people instead of like crazy people. You know what I mean? So that was fun. I remember like Alexandra, he was like a fun guy, man. Like. He was always like smiling, like never like even when he'd fight. Has
he changed?
No, he hasn't changed. He's the same old G. You know what I mean? He was always positive. Like even like if like his girlfriend was like mad at him for some reason, she would be like yelling at him in Portuguese, and he would just like look at me and just like smile and like throw me peace and just like tell her like I love you. You know what I mean? He like kill her with kindness. It's just like a real down to earth guy. It was fun. Like living with him, and it was like some of the best memories of my life. Like he was like doing his Money 2 thing, and we were going to different like pubs, and I had a video camera, so I was like recording like all his shows, and meeting Chago and meeting Breno. It's like the 3 brothers. I have 3 brothers, so it's kind of like we could relate.
I mean, your brother's here now in L.A.
Yeah, Greg's here. Lauren's in.
He's right there.
Los Alamos. Yeah. What's up, Greg?
So, that's a trip. How we're intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch you grow up. Like, I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of years. 20 years. 20 years. Right? So it's you're a dad now. Yep. I saw you hanging out with your little boy. Was it a couple days ago?
Yeah.
In Santa Fe. How old's your boy?
He's 2. Just turned 2 in the end of September. So,
I'm seeing your your coach, or Professor Tim, ways with your
Right.
with your little boy.
Yeah. Like it was a blessing. It was hard. Like it was like the journey of just trying to get pregnant
Yeah.
was insane. You know what I mean? Like doing IVF and, it was just, I didn't think, like, the first time it didn't work, it was kind of a downer. You know what I mean? You give this doctor all your money and then it's like, sorry, you want to try it again? And you're like, they'll give you another 25 grand. You know what I mean? It's like gambling, And something told me just do it one more time. Like I prayed about it.
Oh, you guys tried it.
Well, it's a crazy thing is I got these contracts from these like contracts from Espanola.
Okay.
So, and like a lot of people were at the time because they got published in the Sun, the newspaper. It's like they made it seem like I was like I just did a contract, did a deal, but then like they found the newspapers found out what kind of deal it was, and everybody realized like I was the highest paid teacher in Espanola. So a lot of people didn't respond well to that. You know what I mean? So there was like a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? And like kind of like the people were commenting, that's ridiculous. That's so and so. You know what I mean? Like this guy's getting paid like $75 an hour to teach classes
for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So and I was doing like 6 hour days, a whole school year.
Oh wow.
So that was how I was able to get the money to have a baby. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I would. Yeah.
I see.
So
let's
that
put it all into that.
Yeah.
That little boy, huh?
That 50 G.
That little boy,
Yeah.
50
So
Gs.
that was it. Boom. Let's do it. It's crazy how like I would. Like
You're
we were
not-
going to
you're not
we
a
went to the
kid.
doctor. We went to the doctor and we were just like inquiring, and then the
Yeah.
guy's like, "Okay, are you ready to do this?" And they're like, "Yeah." How much is it gonna cost? It's like, well, altogether with the medication, everything, you're looking about like 25 grand.
Wow.
And like my insurance
For
like,
one time
one
try
time.
to
And
get
it's
the
just-
eggs
yeah.
out and all that. I mean, a lot of people are having trouble having kids, right?
Yeah.
these
So
days.
it was.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the water or what, but
Yeah.
man, it's more and more common, like everywhere.
Right.
It seems like.
So and I'm like, I don't have 25 grand.
Yeah.
And so like it's funny because I had just opened the school in Espanola, and then like right when I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Sure enough, contract, boom, and I was just like, it was like crazy. Like I like prayed about it, and I was like, God, make there a way. And like a week later, I had the money. You know what I mean?
To do it.
So it was kind of, and I did it for 2 years, and then when we got pregnant, I stopped the contract because I wanted to be there like during Melody's pregnancy. I wanted to be there for her, and
She was a teacher too, right?
she was a school teacher, yeah. So, and then when we had Kenny, I had the opportunity to kind of the school called me the following year, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do it again?" And I was just like, I want to, but I was enjoying just being at home with my boy. You know what I mean? Like, because the after school program hours are 2:30 to 5:30, so those were great hours because I got to enjoy my son in the morning and play with him, and I just didn't want to go back to work because it was just so much fun. I think that's probably why he's like I interacted with him so much when he was a kid. That's I was playing basketball with him, like showing him like
he's better than me and Enrique watching him.
Yeah, it's
shooting
funny.
that basket.
He'll shoot the basketball.
He's like
and
2 years old. He can
he'll give you the ball, and then like you'll shoot and you'll miss
from across the room. He'll
look
make
at
the
you
basket.
and like clap. It's okay, and he'll get the ball for you and let you shoot again. So yeah, he responded well to basketball. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping like he learns. Like he'll love jiu-jitsu because I'm not gonna force it on him. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna let him do his thing, and hopefully he's already winning. He's already impressed me. So, and he's a good little boy. He's got that like he doesn't let anybody pick on him when he's in. Like it was funny. I took him to the park the other day, and he's like the littlest kid on the playground. And there was this little boy. He was like probably like second grader, probably like 7 years old, and he was blocking the slide, the entrance to the slide. And there was like these other kids who were like older than my son, and they were just waiting for this bully to stop blocking the slide. So Kenny kind of crawls up and walks right past everybody, and he tries to squeeze past this kid that's blocking the slide, and the kid kind of like threw his hip into the side of the slide to kind of trap him, and Kenny pulled his head out. And then right when he pulled his head out, he just went like swiped him with his open hand, and like the kid grabbed his face and like because he was in shock, and then Kenny just like scooted down the slide, So he's got like he doesn't let anybody kind of. He's a nice boy, but like if you like if you're mean to him, he'll like respond with like aggression, you know.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So like it's crazy.
You and your brothers.
Yeah. It's challenging. Being a parent's challenging because you don't want to give them, you don't want to let them get away with too much, you know. Right. You don't want that like high chair tyrant, you know, or you don't want like the weakling prince, you know. Like I've been kind of reading a lot about like doing like audiobooks and kind of studying like how to raise kids, because it's
not easy.
Yeah, right? And if you like, you could mess up for five years and realize, oh, I did that wrong, and then your kid's already programmed, you know, with certain things. Like, so giving your kids everything can kind of make them like kind of mess them up, you know.
I wanna hear some Lauren stories.
Lauren stories.
Yeah.
What's Lauren like?
Throwing some kids out the back of the school bus.
Oh yeah, man.
Like, you know,
Lauren was like small.
He's small, yeah. So the kids
that
they could bully
yeah.
him.
Oh man, like and he was training jiu-jitsu. Like yeah, he was he was like a real calm, mellow kid. Like always happy, always laughing. And like if you pick on him, he
looks
he
nice.
Just,
he looks like he's kind of pretty, you know.
Yeah, passive and just like But like if you called him little, bro, or if you like
mess with him,
he would turn into a savage. Yeah, he would go postal. You know what I mean? And like yeah, you would never think. And yeah, he ended up like throwing some kid out the back of the bus. Like I don't know how. Like they were like fighting. He was like Lauren was like a seventh grader and was like probably like 47 pounds, bro. I remember. Do you remember how like small he was? Yeah, he was tiny. And this big old eighth grader was like picking on him. So Lauren like hit him in the throat, and then like they ended up like wrestling, and then like somehow like the back of the bus, and when the bus was like waiting to pick up kids, like the emergency exit like went out, and the kid ended up like falling out of the bus. Man, it was crazy. And then like Lauren got like kicked out of the bus for that. And like my dad's like trying to like argue like, look, this kid's like a lot older, you know, but they were like, sorry, your son can't ride the bus anymore.
Man, I remember on one of our trips to Colorado, one of our road trips to compete and stuff, we took 5 or 6 kids with us, right? And there was this one big kid, right? He's probably like 6 foot.
I remember.
Time, you know,
what was his name?
It was like probably over 200 pounds, and your brother was still pretty little. Maybe he was 100 pounds at that point, you know. So he's like double his size, and I mean, he wasn't that tall. So I mean, you know.
Yeah. He was like my age. He was like my age. Like
yeah. And the kid, he started messing with your brother on the road trip. Yeah. Your brother's super nice. He thought he could bully him. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, you know. And then they started like kind of fighting in the van. Yeah. You know, because your brother doesn't take anything. And then I was like, oh man, just relax. We'll figure it out once we get to the malls, and then you guys will. I figured the safe thing would be to put on those big 16-ounce gloves, like just one. I thought one would be the solution. You know, that way they can't do too much. They can't like hurt each other. Right. You know, they're kind of. You know, Lauren was little, and he was big. The kid was big, but I just figured there's not too much damage that can happen.
And you could stop it if it's a big.
Right. Okay, so Lauren's like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's do that. You know, and then you fight and you get along. So I put the one glove on each kid, and he runs, and like the little like Superman, like a speed. What's that that
Mighty
cartoon?
Mouse.
Mighty Mouse, yeah. Like a little Mighty Mouse. He jumps up. I don't know. You know, he had to jump up like Michael Jordan, like Spud McKenzie. You know, yeah. Jumping up. And he hits him with that big glove right in the nose, drops him, blood everywhere. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. And
changed his life, man.
Man, and they had to stop. Yeah. No, he wanted to go in. Like it was like MMA. He was ready to tee off on him. I had to like jump in like a John McCarthy, you know. Right. Like this kid. Yeah. So I stopped it, and then I was like, you okay? Like luckily he didn't break his nose. Just blood was everywhere. And we had to put some tissue in, and and the whole rest of the trip, he was like, he was like babying his nose, but he didn't mess with Lauren.
Yeah, no, he didn't. That was funny, man. It was funny, man. I remember and stopping at that hotel room on the way back. And
it was like a haunted house.
Yeah, we went in there was like doors that were
Vegas, Nevada. Not Nevada, Vegas, New Mexico. Sorry, Vegas, New Mexico.
Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone. Yeah, there was like a indoor pool situation. It looked like an outdoor pool. I don't know. It was really like Twilight Zone.
There was no water in it, but it was like all set up and the lights were on in the pool. Yeah.
There was like these hallways. You'd walk to go to your hotel room, and then the hallway would just end.
I remember there was like when we walked in, there was like everybody kind of like stopped and like they were like playing some music there, and like there was like all these old people, and they like stopped and like kind of turned at us, and, like they weren't really saying anything, and we were just like, what's going on?
We'd always stop there just to kind of
get a scare, huh? Yeah, that was cool. That was
it's hard to explain, right? Unless you go.
Yeah, it was fun.
But it was weird for sure.
Yeah, it was cool.
I wonder if it's still there.
I wonder, yeah. I haven't been by Vegas in a while. All those trips I had so many good memories with you, Al. It's crazy. Now, like, it's kind of weird because the way I look at my like experience with you, I realize like these kids are probably having the same experience with me, you know. So I want to make it out like, you know, I want to have like the same memories that I have with you. I want to kind of have with these kids.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're doing an amazing job with those kids because your heart's in it.
Yeah, these kids are, and they like we feed them snack, and these kids
I know you take care. Yeah, you've always been.
Tim, I'm hungry. What can I get for you? Buying crayons, buying like colored pencils, anything these kids need. I try to make it fun for them. You know, that way there's no excuse for them to be successful. You know, and I know like I don't do it like I just do it just because I like to see the kids smile. You know, it's fun. You know, it's like having like we're like a little group of everybody's like we're like a little tight little family. You know, and these kids it's funny because like these parents will drop their kids off, and then these parents will like become best friends like because their kids met at my program, you know, and then they're like inviting them, and then like they're like lifelong friends, and it's like, oh, how'd you meet? Oh, we met each other at jiu-jitsu, and then they're getting married.
It's crazy, right? It's like crazy. All our friends are from jiu-jitsu, like 20 plus years, 25 years for you know, it's crazy. Yeah. So you've been, I think you started like in 2000, 19 years ago. So what was your best moment in jiu-jitsu, in your jiu-jitsu career?
And my best moment was actually like seeing you win the world championships. I was like, wow, Alberto did it. You know what I mean? Like he did it. Like all the like remember back then, like the Brazilians like dominated, you know, and just like seeing you like recording those matches. I still have those videos. Like I have some videos. And just seeing you like
I represented. I had the American flag in Brazil,
flag,
right?
yeah. And then like seeing you like, and then like at that same year, I think you went against like Clubber
Luciano from my black belt debut. Yeah.
That was awesome. You know, that was Pan Am's, right?
Pan Am's, yeah.
Yeah, was that in Florida?
It was in, I think so. Yeah, actually,
Florida,
it was in Florida. Yeah. That was a big moment for me. The 2001 like Pans. It was my black belt debut actually, and you know, Clever. You know, he's clever. He's a legend for sure.
Yeah.
But it was nice to be able to actually compete against him, you know. And the guy the coach, he was like the coach for the fundamentals for the beginner guys in Rio de Janeiro at the Gracie Barra. He happened to be the ref, and so the fact that I got to beat, you know, like go against Kleber and then actually win, it's like, wow. He used to call me little gringo, gringuinho. It's like, gringuinho, you come a long way. Yeah. Like it was like really nice for me. It was like actually probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten, if not the best, just because it kind of put things in perspective.
Right, totally.
Showing up in Brazil to, you know,
you got a big support system out there. I remember all the guys were out there. It was fun, man. Those road trips with all with all those characters, man.
Yeah.
Joe Diddy, you know, who else was out there?
The local Santa Fe.
All the local Santa Fe guys. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
We had a good.
Because there was really nothing to do, and like Santa Fe was a small town at the time. Like in 2000, there was, you know.
What was your worst moment in jiu-jitsu?
My worst moment was definitely when I ruptured like my 2 discs in my neck. That was like the first time I've ever like experienced like depression. Like I was paralyzed in my arms I couldn't even like bring my hands up to wash my hair. I thought my shoulder was injured, and I was like icing my shoulder, and then when my arms went paralyzed, my dad's like, you need to go to the doctor. So he took me to the doctor and got an MRI, and I got a phone call like the very next day saying you have 2 ruptured discs. It's very, very serious. You gotta come in and you gotta talk about surgery you know. And so it was just
Did you ever get surgery?
No, I never did. I just did like the physical therapy. It took about a year for me to actually just start being able to run. And I remember when I first did my run, like my shoulder, everything just locked up, and I couldn't run because it was just, you know,
so tight.
Everything was tight, you know, and it's funny because I didn't train for like I trained for a little bit, but then I said, you know what?
You
like
couldn't really train with
I couldn't train because
intensity.
I would get away with like 1 or 2 days, but then eventually I would like something would happen and then I would be like this for like a month.
Right.
And I couldn't move. And it would take me a month to get back here again.
Mm.
And
Your
so
body remembered what
yeah,
you got hurt, and so it's protecting, so everything gets tight.
yeah, like I had like muscle atrophy in my arms and like
That fascia gets tight, and nothing
Yeah.
moves in there. Like the hormones, the
Yeah.
liquids, everything just tightens up. And
but I feel like I had like the majority of my wars just like at the academy, you know, like training with all these like remember Noah, how big that guy was,
Yeah.
and just you know, just
how did you? What happened? What happened when you got hurt? What was the situation?
well, I think it was just years and years of just like, you know, fighting at a
You got
guillotines.
stacked, or it was like wasn't it some situation?
Well, remember when I was out here when at Team Quest with Temecula with Dan Henderson?
Right, when you was training there.
There was I remember I was training with.
I forgot about that. We went up to Oscar De La Hoya's old his what was it? His house in Big Bear.
Yeah, that was cool.
And you had the who's who of MMA guys there.
I mean, like Joe Warren. He was cool. He was fun.
He's
training.
like Greco-Roman world champion, right?
He showed me. He was showing me all those takedowns.
Bellator champion.
Yeah, it was cool. We were fighting in that cage,
Mm-hmm.
like doing like it was perfect because he was like getting ready to start his MMA career, and I was kind of like wanting to do it as well. And yeah, he was showing me all these cool takedowns, and yeah, it was an experience, man. But I think remember that UFC fighter Krzysztof from Poland. Remember him? The tattoos.
Yeah.
Old guy. I was training a lot with him.
Okay.
And he was like grabbing my neck, and I think that's kind of where I hurt my neck a little bit.
Okay,
Something happened in my neck because I
It's
remember I felt like the pain in my shoulder. That's kind of where it started.
I mean, after a lot of years of training, right?
Mhm.
Things like that, and then
But
it
those
takes
guys
like
were-
one move, and that's it.
Yeah, you know. And I was always a kid that like I can get out. You know, like you know,
'Cause you've been
rubber
wrestling too.
rubberneck. You know.
Yeah, you were wrestling since you were. I mean, how
Mhm.
old were you when you started?
5.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of years. And that's why I'm so passionate about all this like body awareness and releasing tension, recovery, because I think it's got to be a part of your training, right?
Yeah.
You train hard, but you also have to recover hard, so you can be your best.
Recovery is like more important than the training.
Like
really.
the tac fit stuff, right? All that stuff that we're doing now.
That's amazing. So
I
I wish
the way, you know.
I wish you were back in Santa Fe, man.
What's that?
I wish you were back in Santa Fe.
Yeah, go visit.
Yeah. I miss you, bro.
We're doing it. You came out for the tac fit
It's crazy because
certification.
I go to these other gyms and it's like I was so used to you and like your energy, and when I go to these other gyms, it's like not the same. So it doesn't like it's not the you know, like when you experience a certain type of person, you're always like not comparing, but like, you know, it's just not it's not the same. You know, it doesn't get me. Like, you know, and even when I'm here, I was like, it's amazing. I feel like it's like starting all over again. And I was telling him, I was like, I wonder how my life would have been different if I would have came out here with Al. You know what I mean? But you know,
It's crazy, man. I mean, just like when I reminisce about Santa Fe, like just the fact that I was so like I was in my early 20s, but I was serious, right? I gave everything I had to try to be the best and all that, and I gave everything I had to as a coach to you guys, you know.
Yeah.
But it trips me out when I reminisce that how serious I was.
Yeah.
And it just makes it kind of reinforces that I was doing the right thing.
It's crazy
at
how
that
like
early age.
how every time I come and visit you, you're like always doing something new. You're always like, it's always like some new thing. Like we're expanding into the next room, or now we're doing this, and it's crazy. I don't know like how you are able to like, you're like like superpowers, bro. I don't know.
Just
like,
follow my heart, you know.
Yeah.
I surround myself with people that are better than me,
Uh-huh.
and it's, you know, and that works. It seems to work out so far.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's like you're never just like settled. You know, you're always trying to. You want to run? Okay, you're running fast. Let's run faster. You know, like always, like that higher that like you setting goals. You know, like coming from Santa Fe, there's not guys like you don't come across people like you, Al. It's kind of, you know.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's like there's very, very, very few guys like you. I've never met a guy like you. I've never ever met a guy like you. Like just with your mindset, like always like positive. Sometimes even when I'm like kind of like if I'm like down, like, or I'm like expressing myself, you'll be like, man, just let that go. You know what I mean? Like don't carry that. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean?
That's it. Right.
So,
that's it.
I always think
We gotta be our best. You know, and all that stuff weighs
I'm
us
forever
down.
grateful, man. Like you changed my life, like straight up. Like I tell everybody, like I was very fortunate, very, very fortunate to have met Alberto Crane. When I was young.
I'm lucky to have all you guys in my life. Really, you guys mean the world to me.
I still have like all these.
My big part of my motivation is all you guys.
Yeah.
That's why I have your picture still on my wall and you're a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carry you guys with me.
Yeah.
I'm good and I'm successful because of you guys. You guys were my motivation.
You never let anything like doctors can tell you like, oh, this and this and this, and like you don't accept it. You're just like, you just got that fighter mentality, man. Like you're not, and that's why people are drawn to you. You're like really respectable. You're honest. You tell it how it is. You don't make excuses. You're always striving for the best. And that it's amazing, man. Like the type of human being you are. You know what I mean? Like every time I come out here, you're like, I learned so much. Just like even like when I was talking to you on the phone, like when I called you, it's like, just constantly like you're it's like so much knowledge in there. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like
all because I love jiu-jitsu. Huh?
Yeah, just jiu-jitsu.
I learned so much on the mats.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
where I think you value like you're just I don't know, like your parents.
It grounds you.
You had good parents too. I think your mom was like your mom and dad they did something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. My mom's
mom
and her parents and my dad too. Yeah, for sure. Man, you've been around since the beginning before like MMA really blew up, right? In
watching Tito
in New
Ortiz.
Mexico.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So like, is it a trip for you to see like the evolution of mixed martial arts in New Mexico because it it probably is kind of one of the hubs, right, for MMA in the world with Greg Jackson and all of that.
Yeah, it's crazy how many schools there are now in New Mexico. It's just like everywhere you go, there's like their new school like popping up, and it's all like a branch from you.
Yeah,
it's like
I did bring the Tusa, and I did
brought all
those guys
to
work Tusa for him.
You brought Tusa,
he was an awesome guy though.
Yeah, you brought all. Yeah,
you did too. You took care of these guys, right? You let them stay in your grandma's house. And
that was crazy. That was wild, man. Those guys, like, I remember the first day they showed up. It's like no English plus no school, and then they draw a line equals no money. You know what I mean? They like right away started setting goals. And
Tusa's he's a good guy. We always got along. That's why we ended up bringing him out there.
Yeah. You were like,
I thought it was interesting because actually he came. We did that 4-man tournament with, it's Tusa, Roberto Alencar, Tusa, Homiu, Hamla Bahal, and Vinny Magliais, and Rafael Lovato. Right. So we did
at Santa Fe High School
because we were like only jiu-jitsu school in the state, and so I had to bring guys. We did basically dual meet, and so we had whoever was in the areas. We brought out. We made like super fights. So we had like 20 super fights.
Guys were hungry, like a tournament. Bro. They were hungry.
Yeah, and then we had a 4-man black belt tournament, right, with those guys, with prize money. So that they back in those days, if you got prize money, like they would come. And we did it at Santa Fe High. We got a sponsor, and we actually did it. Right?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. We had some really good matches. What was I going with that? It's just cool, man, to see the evolution. How now they have like tournaments, they have schools all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean everywhere, right? Because the stuff is jiu-jitsu special.
Yeah,
yeah, it really brings out the best in people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Like some of the my best friends is like the guys that I trust the most are all from this little circle that
brings out the best in people. Jiu-jitsu, for me, it's been jiu-jitsu. I think martial arts, but for me, it's been jiu-jitsu. But also, you need the recovery things, so the tack fit stuff for me kind of completes it. Mr. Miyagi put his hands together and put it on Danielson's shoulder to heal it. Like that, nobody taught us these things. So I'm really grateful that I'm learning all these things.
You're injured, train through your injuries. Remember that?
I mean, that's how we did it. That's how we did it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that we have. So many different tools right now.
Right. You've really educated yourself, man. Like
I keep try to learn from the best. I'm really grateful for Scott Sonnen, to kind of open my mind up all those years ago to show me that I can heal myself with movement and the right, just naturally, right? Because if you go to the the hospital or a doctor, right? Like most of the times, not every time, but most of the times, like they tell you like, hey, surgery or they give you drugs, but man, you can just heal yourself with the right ways of moving, just the basic awareness, knowledge.
Yeah, you give people hope.
Yeah, and so I'm really passionate about that because look at you, like you got hurt, And if I could have maybe given you some drills, you know, some movements, I could, you know, maybe I needed to help you, but I could show you some movements that you could do. And man, instead of being in pain,
Right.
or not even pain, where you're bedridden for like, I don't know how long, you know, I don't know how long that whole process took, like, you know, months and months and months and years it dragged on because you were scared to do anything. But, you know, like you can heal yourself within like probably like, you know, depending, right? But
like today, like I hadn't really trained in 2 years, you know,
right.
like, and whatever you did to me, like
you're back.
I'm not
nice.
like,
That's it.
Yeah, I'm not like
some stretches
normally
to release the tension.
Yeah, I haven't even like felt like my neck. Usually I'm like taking like Advil and you know, right after training I'm like having somebody pull on my neck, you know. But whatever you did, like those drills that like pulling my skin back and like having me like sit up like a baby with my upper body and my lower body, it like loosened me up.
You know, recalibrate like your brain and body.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So because it's just tensioning up, right? It's to protect. Like you were probably you know trained too much, too hard, like too fast since you have been training, so your body like just seized up on you, right? So just kind of bring it back together because it's like fight or flight, right? So it's like I got to protect myself. Right. So do some movements to kind of relax it and bring it back online, bring it together so you can relax, right? Yeah, and be normal again.
Yeah, you just got.
It's powerful stuff, man. That's why I'm so passionate, you know, because it makes all the difference for not just if we do martial arts, but just quality of life in general.
I talked to after you had left, and Kurt was at my house, and he's like, man, like Alberto said, like I could like get my hearing back. Yeah. And I'm like, you can, like you believe it, you know what I mean? Like Alberto's not the type of guy that just like throw stuff at you, just just to. No, he really like if you believe it, like and you. And
Napoleon Hill, he has that Think and Grow Rich book, right? I think he had a deaf son.
Yeah, his son was deaf.
Right, he's in that, and
like the doctor's like, he's not going to hear, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna accept that, you know. And he just prayed and just. And
if you figure it out,
figured it out, yeah. And his son was hearing with no ears, right? Mm-hmm. Crazy,
something like that. Yeah. But he could hear it. He figured out for him to hear.
That's amazing.
So there's a will, there's a way for sure.
That was the first book you ever introduced me to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the book I read when before I moved down to Brazil. I set my goals, right, wrote them down. And made my kind of blueprint of trying to be the best.
I remember being on airplanes with you. You'd be like just mentoring me, man. Like you'd be like, come sit next to me, and you'd be like telling me like.
That's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to.
Yeah. So like that's what I learned. That's why I learned it. So like I say like, okay, this is. I was blessed with this, so now it's like I want to give the same opportunity I had. I want to give it to these kids. You know what I mean? Man. So your family to me, you know. I mean, all you and all the guys, man, in our first group in Santa Fe. You guys are forever. Yeah. You guys are family. I mean, you were literally in my wedding party. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So like
that was cool. Yeah, the limo at Armenian wedding. That was like you had a good wedding, man. That was cool. 300
people, Armenian wedding.
Like frog. That was the first time I ever had like what did they had like chicken, and then you could pick
kebabs.
Like, chicken kebabs, and then like they had like frog legs, didn't they?
No, I don't think so.
Frog leg, maybe it was another wedding. I don't know, but that was something.
What do you remember of the Armenian wedding?
Or maybe somebody told me they were frog legs, and they were like there was like chicken. I don't know, but I was like, really? I was like, tastes like chicken. You know what I mean? I think Amal was telling me that. He was like trying to mess with my head. Yeah, because but yeah, it was fun, man. Like the way everybody was dancing, and you know, you were like, this is what you do, like number ones, turn the light bulb. I remember you were teaching me. It was cool, man. That was a good time. But yeah, it was. I'm just grateful, man, that I met a guy like you, and that you like took me in. Like you didn't have to, you know. You could have just. A lot of these martial artists, they're just like take the check and then all right, you're done paying, okay, you know. But you like actually like really like you're passionate, man. You like love what you do. You love what you do, and I think that's what makes you. Like,
I love you guys. You guys are my motivation. Yeah. So thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate you.
I'm blessed. Yeah, brother.
Yeah, like I would have never. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't never have like crossed paths with you. All right, it was just you're an inspiration to me, man. I'll always be like grateful. Always like whatever you need. Like you need something from me, you could always call me, man.
Thanks, brother.
Take care of you, bro. I got you. If you need if you need a place to stay, if you need like, I got a rent-a-car company now. It's like so I'm doing the rent-a-car thing. So you need a car, you need anything you need, bro. And I got you. You know. Thanks, brother. So.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. It was cool. I've never really done a podcast before. It's cool. It's cool. Good times.